Thank you for joining me today. It's Brian Gubernick, and welcome to the No Days Off podcast, where we believe that every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. And since this is a Monday episode, I figured it is time to talk a little bit around health, start our week off right. So today I want to talk to you about a number, and it's a number that most of us probably do not know. It's actually a number that I was unaware of personally. And it's a number that it turns out matters a lot more than I realized. And that number has to do with your vitamin D level. We're going to talk about vitamin D. So, quick story. As most of you know, I live in Arizona and I am outside constantly. I'm outside walking first thing in the morning. I'm working out outside a lot. I'm running around. On the weekends, I'm pretty much outside 24/7. So if anyone should have a vitamin D level that's fairly dialed in, it should be me. And that's exactly what I assumed. Until of course I did some blood work. And I got my results back and my vitamin D was not just under, but well under where it should be. Not just a little low. I mean, it was significantly low. I sat there kind of looking at this number thinking, how in the world is this even possible? I'm in the sun every single day. It's not like I'm living in some basement in a place like Seattle that doesn't get as much sun as Phoenix. I should be pretty maxed out. But the number didn't care what I had assumed. The number was just simply the number. So I want you to think about that for a moment. If a guy who lives outside and lives in Arizona can be that deficient, what do you think your number might look like? You probably don't know either. And that's the whole point of today's episode. So let me take a step back and tell you why this even matters. Vitamin D isn't really a vitamin. It functions more like a hormone in your body. It's involved in something like 200 or 220 different processes or something like that. It impacts bone strength, immune function, inflammation, mood, energy, cardiovascular health, even cognitive function. So when you're low, you don't feel sick in some obvious way. You just might feel a little off. And in my case, probably had been so conditioned to being off that it didn't even feel different to me. But typically, if you have low vitamin D levels, you're a little more tired. You're a little bit more susceptible to what's going around from an illness standpoint. Maybe you feel a little bit more achy because of inflammation. Just in general, a bit more flat. And I think for many of us entrepreneurs here, part of the No Days Off Nation, it's easy to chalk that sort of thing up to stress or your age or a long week. But it compounds. And long-term vitamin D deficiency has been linked to higher risk of heart disease. It's been linked to autoimmune conditions, certain cancers, depression, bone problems like osteoporosis. And the research has been piling up for the past couple decades around this. Here's the part that I think really gets me. Estimates kind of vary here, but somewhere around 40 to 70% of adults in this country are insufficient or outright deficient in vitamin D. So most of us, as a result, are walking around on a half tank of energy, or maybe even worse. We don't even have any idea that we're walking around like that because, like me, we might be conditioned to it. How does this happen? How does so many of us have such low vitamin D levels? Well, there's actually a number of reasons as to why this may occur. And when I researched it, it kind of caught me by surprise because while I knew some of them, it just didn't occur to me some of these others had such an impact on vitamin D. Number one, believe it or not, sunscreen. Now, sunscreen protects your skin, which is a pretty good thing, but sunscreen blocks the exact wavelength of light that your body uses to make vitamin D. So if you're using sunscreen quite often, you are actually blocking the wavelength of light that your body would use to convert to vitamin D. Number two, windows. What do I mean when I say windows? Most of us spend our daylight hours inside, or in a car, and glass windows block those same wavelengths. So while you may have light in your world, if you're indoors, the glass is blocking those wavelengths. Number 3, age. Your ability, age impacts everything, I guess. Your ability to convert sunlight into vitamin D drops as you get older. Number 4, your skin tone. Darker skin produces less vitamin D from the same amount of sun exposure. Not better. It's not worse. It's just a function of biology. So darker skin produces less vitamin D. Number 5, body composition. Vitamin D is fat soluble. So the more body fat someone is carrying, the more it gets locked up in fat tissue instead of circulating where you need it. Number 6 is diet. And this is the last one of the reasons why vitamin D may be so low for so many people. Number 6, diet. Very few foods naturally contain any meaningful amount of vitamin D. We're talking fatty fish, egg yolks, some fortified dairy, but that's pretty much it. So if you stack any 2 or 3 of these on top of each other, you can see how easy it is to end up pretty low, even if you spend a lot of time outside. So what did I do about this? First, and I think this is the most important part of the entire episode, and it's something I've alluded to many times here at No Days Off, I got blood work done. You got to know where you stand, not just with respect to vitamin D, but everything. So I want to repeat that because that's the action I want you to take if you've not already done so. Go get the blood work. Know where you stand with respect to vitamin D and all else. Don't start just guessing. Don't start supplementing just because you feel a certain way. So, and also don't assume that you feel okay, so therefore your levels are okay. That was my problem. So go spend the money, get a basic panel that includes vitamin D, and find out what your actual number is and how it compares. You can't manage what you don't measure. We talk about that in business. Well, same goes in life. And so you want to make sure you know where you're starting at. Once I had my number, what I personally did, I was already supplementing with vitamin D, believe it or not. I doubled my vitamin D supplementation. That's it. Same brand, same form, just doubled my intake. And then 60 days later, I just retested. And now I'm right in the middle of what would be perceived as a healthy range. Now, it's hard for me to tell you that I felt some massive shift internally. I do so many different things from supplementation, changing diet, workouts. But I know my biology, right? I had the blood work done. I'm now in a healthier range. And for me personally, that matters because I actually have had some bone density challenges over the past handful of years, and vitamin D is probably playing a role in that. So just getting that number up internally, I believe will help some bone density challenges I've had. So it took me 2 months, 60 days. I made one change, and there's a massive shift in a marker that influences, like I said, over 200 different processes in my body. Now, one thing I want to mention before we close out today, a lot of people pair vitamin D with vitamin K2. The reasoning is because vitamin D helps you absorb calcium and K2 helps direct that calcium to your bones instead of your arteries. So there's a real case for it. I did not do that this round. I just wanted to isolate the variable that was vitamin D and supplementation and just see what the vitamin D alone would do. But for some of you, adding K2, that might be the right combo. And it's probably something I'll eventually do here. I just wanted to, again, isolate for this vitamin D supplementation. So that's a conversation for you and your doctor or whoever's giving you licensed guidance around this. So don't take my protocol as your protocol. Maybe take it as a starting point. So this is an important episode. I know many of you may have tuned out because you like maybe some of the business conversation or the personal development conversation. Today we're talking health. This vitamin D stuff matters. So here's what I want to challenge you to do. If you haven't done the blood work yet, go do it. That's the whole action item this week. If you have done blood work, pull it up and check those vitamin D levels because we have a tendency to maybe focus on these things that we believe might be more impactful. But I'm telling you, 200 plus processes within the body, vitamin D is a big deal. So get a baseline around your vitamin D. Probably run a full panel, iron, B12, If you're a guy, testosterone, your thyroid markers, whatever else maybe your doctor recommends. Because again, here's what I learned. I've been making decisions, business decisions, parenting decisions, training decisions every single day for years at potentially a half tank, at least specific to my vitamin D. And I had no idea. I thought I felt fine because fine was my baseline. I didn't know what better could feel like. And now I'm expecting to see some changes continue for me over the coming months as I keep my vitamin D levels at a higher level. So you don't know what you don't know. And in the case of your health, what you don't know is genuinely costing you something. That's all I have for you today. The No Days Off podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. So let's get after it.